Hi, I'm Phil Dejean here for Dare to Draw Studios' new show, Creator Code. What is Creator Code? Simply put, we are all creators, and our code is that we support each other, period. With this show, we'll be spotlighting creators in our comics industry and pop culture. On today's show, we have creator Beatriz Ramos, entrepreneur, film director, producer, and illustrator. She is the founder of Dancing Diablo Studios, and she is the inventor of an artistic digital communication interface called DaDA for a quick one-on-one. Afterwards, we'll be joined by Zeea Adams, artist and comics colorist, Neal Adams, artist, editor, and art director, Nick Purpura, musician and co-owner of JHU's Comics, and via phone, the one and only Howard Chaykin, comics legend, working cartoonist, and writer for comics and TV. Please welcome Beatriz Ramos. Hey, we're here with Beatriz Ramos from DaDA.
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right, so let's qualify you here a little bit for Creator's Code here. Just wanted to throw it out there. Now, you ran the first comic book store in Venezuela. Is that true?
Yes.
I mean, like, what was that like? I mean, I guess back in the days, everybody would just go to, like, the local store to get comics, or how did they get comics there?
No, you couldn't. You will have to travel outside Venezuela, or you will sometimes libraries will get a little bit.
How do people get their Condorito and Memon? All right, I'm just asking here, all right?
Yeah.
Or those old soap opera comics, right?
Yes, I mean, it was really the first one ever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what you did was you got American comics over there? And
So we came to New York. We had only $2,000 at the time.
Wow.
Bought a bunch of comics, took them to my friends. Her father had an engineer office. Mm-hmm. We took a space there in a 7th floor of a office building, and it created like a whole cult for
right.
people.
So
because
word of mouth.
mouth.
Yeah, people found out about this thing.
We actually, I had a friend at the radio station,
Mm-hmm.
and we called her and we told her that what we were doing. And the next day when we came to, there was the second time that we opened the store, it was a whole line of people sitting on the floor of the 7th floor of this office building because they have listened to the radio, and
So
it just became this
people dug
cult
comics
thing.
over there.
Yeah.
And even English comics, people were digging it.
That's what mainly they were, comic books, superheroes and things like that.
And you went from there, and then you parlayed that into coming to New York and staying here permanently, doing stuff for MTV.
Yes, first I actually started working coloring comics.
Oh, you were coloring comics for what company or what?
It was called Atomic Paintbrush at the time. It was a small shop that was coloring comics for Acclaim and Marvel. And
What was your favorite comic to color?
there was this comic book called Spawn. I don't know if anybody.
Oh, Spawn.
Spawn, yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows Spawn.
Yeah,
Sure,
well,
sure.
So I did it because it was dark, and
Yeah.
so I loved to color that one.
Cool. All right. And then from there, you started working for Disney and New York Times, doing illustration for them.
In parallel, I was illustrating for the New York Times, and then I got a job at MTV Animation.
Mm-hmm.
They just released Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead, yeah.
I got in there and stayed there working on and off for like 4 years.
Wow.
But I also worked for Disney and Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, all of it.
Right on. And then from there, you spun off into your own thing, Dancing Diablo.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
So I started my own shop, and we had an office in Dumbo, and our first project was to do color for the Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. So you were doing Ninja Turtles for
That
how
was
long?
we did 6 seasons of it. It was
Wow.
back in 2003, and I did a lot of the styling and art direction of it. And then we went into advertising. I started directing commercials, animation, and live action.
So you say you were doing all these different things, but you felt like you're working on all this different IP, you're working on all this stuff, but you weren't getting any dough from that. So now you're doing this new thing called DaDA, which is this new. It's inspired by
the movement,
the artist
movement
style. And tell us a little about it.
All right, so after all this, I had an office in New York, and I had an office in South America, everything, I felt in general I was a successful artist. But then, I started questioning what that means, right? What is success for an artist? I was making money, but I wasn't making a huge amount of money because I realized that, after 20 years of working, I had any of the intellectual properties of everything I've done.
So you didn't own anything?
Own any of the actual intellectual property, which is insane to me that as an artist you lose the intellectual property of what you do. And so as a successful artist, I also realized that I was only owning a fraction of the value I was helping create. And when you think about it, this is New York, this is Disney and MTV, and we were working for Coke and all these like big brands. You start wondering what happens in the rest of the world, and in the comic book industry, what happens with artists that are not as successful, if this is life for successful artists. And so we decided to do something about it.
And then this new platform, you're able to, well, one thing they do is they're able to communicate with each other. Artists are able to communicate with each other through drawings.
Yeah, so you go to the platform, you use our simple tools, and you make a drawing, and anyone around the world can reply with another drawing, and anyone else can add to it.
So it's like a mashup, like a jam.
It's more like a jam, yeah, because you are actually, it's like exquisite corpse.
Ah, yes, exquisite
only
corpse.
that you're actually looking at what the other person is doing. So you are making an interpretation, you are understanding what the other person doing, and then you're answering. And when
so that's very, very DaDA, also surrealist. They do that.
Well, it is a conversation, and it could be 40, 80 drawings. It could be people from China, Kenya, Italy, Chile. I mean, you have all,
right,
and you create all these connections.
Community.
Yeah.
So here's my question: How do people make that dough doing this? I thought you were talking. You'd spoken earlier about people doing digital cats, and making $40,000. What's up with that?
Well, that's called speculation in a new market. But,
fine.
But what we're doing with this, we have a big community. There are over 160,000 registered people, and we have a core group of artists who have made over 100,000 drawings on the platform. So we started thinking, well, what can we do with this value that people are creating? And the most important thing is to guarantee that the IP protection for artists, that the attribution, one of the problems with digital art is it just goes there into the internet and you lose sight of it. People use it, reuse it, and you don't get anything out of it.
People change it a little bit, and
Which this is what is interesting now with an emerging technology called blockchain. What you can do is you can create digital scarcity, and this means that if I have a piece of artwork that is a digital piece of artwork, it can be unique. And you can make a screenshot of it, but this one thing, if I give it to you, now you have it, and I don't.
So digital scarcity.
Digital scarcity, and it comes with IP protection. So if you are the artist, it's always going to be associated with that digital asset. And if that digital asset gets sold, now we know that I was the first owner, now you own it, and now you sold it to someone else.
And they can't.
You can track everything. It's transparent, everybody can see it, but it can be tracked forever, 20, 40 iterations. So if you sell it and it's resold, the royalties go to the artist right away.
So would you say this is like the future of art and comics and things like that?
It's actually happening right now. It's a very early industry. It's been only 2 years, and most people don't know about it. But it's true. Anyone can go right now to some of these platforms in just like a regular website. Like DaDA, there is Super Rare, there is
Super Rare, it's called?
Rare Labs, there is Known Origin. There are different marketplaces where people can upload their work. It gets tokenized. Which is made into token, that is the scarcity.
Okay.
And then from there, your art is protected. You can sell it, you can gift it.
So it is like money?
It is like a Bitcoin, only that it's not a Bitcoin, it's actually a digital art.
Okay, so you have this digital art, it's tokenized, it's money. Like
well,
money.
it's not that it's money, it's that it's not different from a comic book page.
Okay. If you buy a comic book page off an artist.
I mean, you have the comic book page, I give it to you, you bought it, now you have it. It's the same, but digital.
Oh, so then the value could go up.
Of course.
So I have
value
this
could
art,
go up.
and I could
But
sell
not
this.
only the value could go up,
Yeah.
but more importantly, what you were saying before, that if people will like change your
Yes.
art, like let's say memes.
Yeah. Oh, memes, perfect example.
Somebody add, a piece of text or, change it a little bit.
Right.
With these unique assets, now if I make a drawing, and this is what we're doing in the platform, soon we will be able to make the tools so that people take let's say one of my drawings. Now you animate it a little bit,
Yeah.
you may create a GIF, somebody else put a piece of music. Every single contribution gets into these pieces of code that we call smart contracts, and you're protected.
Wow.
If in the 20th iteration that was sold for $40,000, everybody gets
Everybody's
a
going
cut.
to see some of that.
Yes.
All right, so that's great stuff. So we're going to ask you to come on over to our panel.
Of course.
And let's talk some stuff. All right, there. So thank you so much. All right. Right on. We're now here with our Creator Code panel. So starting over here, we have Beatriz Ramos, right, from DaDA, right? Round of applause. It's all good. And then next up, we have Jamal Eigel. Now he is the artist from Black, but also Molly Danger. And what's the newest one that you're doing?
The newest one is called The Wrong Earth. It's published by Ahoy Comics, which is a brand new publisher run by a lot of really famous comic book people.
Wow. All right. Well, I'll give it up. And next up, we have Nick Purpura, and he is the guy behind JHU Comic Books. All right, right?
Correct. Here in New York.
Right on. Yeah, and they have 2 locations.
Absolutely.
Definitely good stuff. And in the industry for a hot minute, doing this thing.
Yeah, for a long time.
And last but not least, Zeea Adams, comic colorist, artist, and all-around awesome person. So let's just give it up for Zeea. Right on. So, all right, so I'm going to throw out some things, but first off, we want to say here, tie-in, we're shooting this episode 2 in June 2019, and it's Gay Pride Month and the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. And us as Gotham producers at M&N, we're allies of this, so we're giving them big props and big props.
Absolutely.
Andy Hum and Northrop, OG M&N producers for 30 years of the show Gay USA. Got to give them big ups in here. So represent.
Absolutely.
Kudos. Now, let's see. The first thing that we're going to start up is, creators in the news. And our creators in the news that we have this time is Neal Gaiman. Neal Gaiman is getting up a big storm here lately with him and Terry Pratchett doing the Good Omens TV show. Anybody saw that? It's on Amazon, right? So of course everybody's laughing because people were getting very upset about this show and
Petitioning Netflix.
they were petitioning Netflix. And did you see Netflix's response? They're like, we won't do any more episodes because they weren't doing them in the first place. For God's sake.
But the funny part about it, it just shows that people just don't pay attention in general. It's always funny to me when things like this pop up. I think part of it is that we've gotten this entitlement society that's going on right now, where we feel entitled to things, and if things don't matter.
If I don't like it, you have to take it away because
no,
it's
absolutely.
bad.
Hold on, what happened to
if
not
you
watching
don't-
it?
If you don't like it, don't watch it.
You can't not watch it, Phil, because it's there. You're paying for it. It's there. And if I'm going to pay for something, you have to conform absolutely to everything that I personally want, no
And that's
matter
a
what.
toxic fandom that we've been
absolutely.
talking about here.
It's horrible.
Speaking of super entitlement, I don't know. All right, I'm going to throw this out there. Now, do you know David Bowie's son is a big fan of Neal Gaiman, right? And Neal Gaiman actually did some kind of stories and stuff like that about Bowie. Now he stepped up and said, they were doing a Starman thing about David Bowie's life, kind of like in the thing of Rocket Man with Elton John and Bohemian Rhapsody, right? And he said, yeah, I don't know about this thing, but if I was to get a David Bowie one to be done, it should be done by Neal Gaiman.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he threw that out there. And also Peter Ramsey from Into the Spider-Verse. He threw him out as a director, and the guys were like, okay, we would do this.
Who doesn't want to work with Neal?
Yeah,
No, absolutely.
yeah. So Neal Gaiman, he's doing the thing. He's getting this thing going on here. Now, next up, another thing we were talking about, people getting upset by this thing because biblical stuff. It's too religious. It's the topic of good omens. It was too much for people. Like we said, people were getting upset. Now lines are getting blurred. You know.
No. The sense of humor in movies and TV shows has been so leashed by people and their opinions and their offenses. You can't even watch like an old Mel Brooks movie on TV without half of it being edited out.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, and I think it's really it's telling. John Fugelsang was on the Stephanie Miller show recently, and he was talking about he knows Mel Brooks, he knows Carl Reiner, who was over at Carl Reiner's house having dinner, and they called up Mel, and Mel even admitted he could not do Blazing Saddles now.
Oh, he couldn't do any of his films
the
now.
way that society has, or at least the society via social media has evolved over the last, I won't even say decade, like the last 5 years. Now, the great thing about social media is that everybody has a voice. The bad thing about social media is everybody has a voice. And I certainly, people who follow me online certainly know that I am free with my opinion on a regular basis. I don't have a problem speaking my mind about certain things. I sort of feel like right now we're still in the infancy of everything that's going on in terms of how people communicate with each other. And the lines are changing. People want to be represented. People want to see representations of themselves in media. And it's easy to be outraged when you've spent your entire life not seeing yourself reflected back at you. So people, again, is having that voice and feeling like they need to have that sense of expression. They need to let you know that this is upsetting me right this very moment. And it's not always a good thing, but I think it's one of those things that's going to change and grow and evolve as we go along.
May I add something about that?
Go ahead, Beatriz.
Because the thing about social media is that the business model behind it is that it's free, right? We can all just use all these platforms for free, and they use our data and sell our data and all of that. The thing about it is that they needed to grow exponentially very fast in order to really get meaningful amounts of data. And one of the things that gets people more engaged is outrage.
Right.
So things like YouTube, Twitter, they push people who are controversial, even if they're in the wrong side of controversial. They don't care as long as people get really outraged.
Oh yeah, outrage tweaks the algorithm. The algorithm
and then it
points to
will just like
advertising.
move it exponentially.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's going to change. I think unless we really stop using these platforms or push them to change their business models, is not going to change.
I think getting them to change their business model might be easier than not using the platforms at this point.
The platforms are here.
Yeah.
Where they're not
Yeah.
going. The problem I feel in the
They may
situation
go, though. They may go.
well, is the understanding of satire. Because that's the whole issue here.
No sense of
That's
humor.
it.
Well, again, Blazing
That's it.
Saddles is satire, and that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're discussing. The language used in Blazing Saddles, not used in the proper way, becomes not satire, and becomes something that most people don't want anymore.
Right, but also one of the beauteous things about Mel Brooks's movies, particularly Blazing Saddles, is he made fun of everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Right.
he, I'm of Western European descent. He got us on that German thing. He got the Asians, the blacks, the
See, that's one of the more Negro
everybody-
spirituals.
So it was across the platform.
No
Right.
And it was, it was also at a time where we could watch that and go,
Understanding of satire is an important part of it, and quick outrage. Because one of the problems is people in a modern social networking things want to be the first to say something,
Right.
And they want to be ahead of the curve, and sometimes to a detriment. Without thinking out what we're saying. We need to become a little more of a thought-out culture before we even speak sometimes, or even understand what we're saying. Being the
But
first
So
one.
what's the controversy? With the Neil
with
Gaiman
Good
thing.
Omens, it's a religious thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's about an angel and a demon and the
And the
upcoming
apocalypse.
apocalypse, and I'm not going to give too much away for those poor people that have not seen it yet.
Or read the book.
It has
I
to do
mean,
with the
my-
Antichrist.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, you know, and it's actually rather brilliantly written, and it's humanly written. It's from the perspective of the human, and how we would perceive things, and what if angels and demons
Right.
were not all the way bad. And
Right.
angels
Angels
were
are
not
not
all
all
the
the
way
way
good.
good.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's not kind of
Right.
But there's that, oh, you're messing with my religion. You can't be doing that. And it's that losing that sense of humor and that being able to poke fun at yourself and be okay with that.
Well, let's
you
keep
know?
in mind that there's situations in the past that where people could, like you talk about their religion, and especially in the comics industry, that you die. There was that
Right.
situation
Yeah.
where people got shot and really stuff
Oh,
went
yeah?
down. But you know,
But again, it's the perspective of whoever is watching it. But it's also, you know, you and I can have differences of opinions of whether something is right to watch or something is wrong to watch. But if I don't agree with you, that doesn't mean it's my right to say that you can't
Oh,
view
absolutely agree.
Right.
Absolutely
it. And
agree.
that's where I run into the problem, is that there are people that are petitioning saying, no, nobody is allowed to watch this. And it's like, no. Whoever wants to watch this is allowed to watch this.
course.
If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
Well, I also feel like the public has spoken in the world of Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman's successful for a reason.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
There's
sure,
a reason
and
why
so
all
is
these
Terry
books.
Pratchett.
Right. So I mean, for you to come out here and say, "Well, I don't want that to be around." Well, you know, there's a lot of people who have embraced all things Neil Gaiman, all things Terry Pratchett, and for good reason.
But it's
not-
also a minor part of something that just annoys the hell out of me personally, is that we're looking at older movies and trying to, and looking at them in a modern context. Like there was an article recently about somebody complaining about Heathers. You know, Heathers has its place. Heathers is a very 90s, era dark comedy. You can't judge Heathers in the same context that you would judge
different
something.
time.
It's a completely
I don't know.
different.
I'm going to be quick to judge some song of the South, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
just for me personally, just saying.
Well, but there's a different element in there. Song from the South has very distinct stuff in it, where Heathers is a look at children, and it's satire.
Right.
Yeah,
We're
and I'm
not-
sorry,
we're-
as somebody who grew up with those kinds of girls, I get that movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nor do you advocate killing
No,
people.
no, I
Like that.
certainly
That's
don't,
what
but, you know.
but that's what I mean about seeing past this world of understanding what satire is a big point.
No, but
of-
But at the same time, people have to accept that everything that was made before you were born, in some cases, with some of these kids, is going to be a little bit problematic to you. It's a
Right.
different era. You
Yeah.
know, we're not doing things the same way, but you can't judge these things as you would them now. You have to judge. It's art. Everything has to be judged on its own merits. You can't
Sure.
put blanket condemnation on.
But you also learn from those older things.
That's true.
I had my daughter watch. Forgive me, what's the name of that movie? It's the musical about the chunky girl.
Hairspray.
Hairspray. Okay, and my daughter was watching this. She's 11 years old now, and she's like, "Why aren't they letting the black kids dance with the white kids?"
My daughter said the same thing.
Wonderful teaching experience for me to say, back in the day, people just didn't get it and didn't understand that we're all people under this veil of,
Yeah.
of skin.
Okay, so this just in, as we were talking before about things being misunderstood or being controversial, on the line we have Howard Chaykin, who has been known for doing a couple of controversial things here. We have the Divided States of Hysteria over here. Howard, are you with us? Is he there? Okay, and also, so there is there, and he's now currently doing a comic called Hey Kids, which talks about the history of comics, not directly talking to, not calling people out directly, but if you're in the know or if you've done your homework and if you checked out some stuff, you know what he's talking about here. So please, let's give it up for Howard Chaykin.
All right.
Hey Howard, you out there?
Yeah, who are those people applauding? What's that all about?
Oh yeah. sorry. We have a panel of people and we've been discussing.
How many people are there?
Hey Howard, it's Jamal Igle.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, my
Yes.
God, it's America's favorite stud.
Yes, we have a, we have
Hey, Jamal, I knew you win, so believe me, I can say these things.
Yes, I know.
So we have Jamal, we have Nick Purpura from
I have no idea who that is, but I'm sure he's a wonderful guy.
From JHU Comic Books, we've been
JHU
selling your
Comics.
comics for 30 years.
Well, okay, I don't
Right.
care that much. I'm 3,000 miles away.
we also have Zeea Adams here.
Who?
Zeea Adams.
Zeea?
Yes, daughter of Neal
Holy
Adams.
shit.
Right?
I've known Zeea since just after Woodstock.
Wow. And we also have Beatriz Ramos, who is an artist and illustrator.
Yeah, you don't know me, so don't
Right.
worry.
Okay, but the
An
also
entrepreneur.
part indicates that I will eventually. That's really good.
Right on.
I love when that happens.
So now-
how can I help you all?
Now, here's our question is, we're talking about controversy in comic books and the state of the industry of comics currently, and also
Right.
you're talking about Hey Kids, which talks about the industry in the past, and also,
Right.
as Jamal has talked about, the history and lessons learned or not learned.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, you use the word controversial. What's controversial has come to be regarded as an inviolable moral absolute, which is nonsense. It is a situational, experiential idea. And what is controversial today will be de rigueur in 5 to 10 years, and what is acceptable today will be regarded with great disgust and controversy in 10. So let's just put that off the table right there. I have no idea what the state of the comic book business is right now because I live out of the loop. I live 3,000 miles away. I live in a small town. I'm sitting in my living room, and I've been watching a documentary about Terrence McNally and playing with my dog. That's my Saturday, okay? And the bottom line is, I don't believe that the comic book business today bears any resemblance to what it did in my when I was beginning my career, or when the guys who were my fathers were beginning their career. Because comics in their time, in their original inception, were basically Jews ripping off other Jews. And the talent pool was predominantly Jewish. The publishers were predominantly Jewish. They were all lower middle class guys. And comics in my generation continued to draw its talent from the lower middle classes. But that's no longer the case because comics have become, through some kind of identification, a kind of mass cult.
Right.
And people now know about them, but not really, they don't really know about them in a way that's real. They know about them in an abstract way. They see the movies and think that's comics.
Right.
And the comic book business, as a business, is melting around our ankles.
Okay.
Mainstream comics, of which I consider myself a member, and I think I'm assuming the people on your panel, at least some of them, like Jamal and others, I'm guessing, recognize the fact that our audience is shrinking rapidly, and I'm not really particularly concerned or interested because I'm old. I'll be dead before it's a real issue.
Wow.
I'm serious. I'm an atheist, so I'm not going to be hanging around being drawn by Al Hirschfeld on a clock watching, Henry Higgins and Liza Doolittle down on the stage.
All right. But my question is, what inspired you to do like the Hey Kids?
Well, the fact is we live in an ahistorical culture that's made up of cultural amnesiacs. People have this idea that, there's an entire generation of people today who are unwilling to acknowledge that they learned anything from anyone. They behave as if they were born knowing things, which is ridiculous. And I'm the last generation of men who actually apprenticed to other talents. I was an apprentice to a number of talents in my youth. And I spent years listening to stories. Now, bear in mind, Hey Kids is a subjective take. It's also fiction. And some of it never happened, but it's still true. Because there are anecdotes that I've done in the book that I know are not true, but you've heard them so many times that they have the resonance of myth. And doing that was important to me because, frankly, we are in danger as a culture of forgetting the fact that there were people before us, that we stand on the shoulders of giants. I learned everything I know working for Gil Kane, Wallace Wood, Gray Morrow, Neal Adams, and Joe Orlando.
Right.
And those guys are only one of them's left alive, right?
Right. So is Hey Kids 2 going to be like more about the future?
No.
All right.
No,
So-
Hey Kids number 2 is about the impact on my generation that EC had in its brief life. That EC existed and then was burned out by the Comics Code, and ultimately my generation, the guys who were born between, say, 47 and 52 rather, all believed that we would outlive superhero comic books because none of us really were interested in doing superhero books. And that the guys who were doing superhero comics were our father's age. They were old men. And that what ultimately we would represent the flowering of a new generation that would do that EC kind of ethos.
But it was all
not
slotted down.
realizing that since we could not see ourselves being bent to the will of what Stan Lee wanted, rather there was going to be a generation that would come along 5 years after us, coinciding with Stan losing his grip on the reins of comics, that would be able to build superheroes to their will, the way John Byrne did, the way Frank Miller did, the way Bill Sienkiewicz did. And the only member of my generation who was prepared to do superhero comics from the day he arrived was Rich Buckler. All of us were much more interested in other things. We were interested in other genres, fantasy, science fiction, not superheroes.
So what do you think is going to be the next in the future? I mean,
I don't think there is a future, personally.
So it's all going to go down.
I think the material is becoming the material is becoming more and more isolated and niche based. I think we're heading toward a point where we will be selling in a more direct way to a specific audience, the way streaming does, the way streaming sells a specific product to a specific audience.
So
I've aged out of Marvel and DC. I mean, I do the occasional job for both companies, but I'm certainly not able to get regular work at either house.
So will
I
this
work
be?
for Image because Image has a kind of a laissez-faire policy, which I counter-indicate by hiring an editor because I believe in editors.
Okay.
And I recently had an exchange on Facebook where someone took me to task for my dismissal of the work I did on Star Wars, for example.
Oh yes.
And that the only work that I spoke positively about was work that I had control over, and I disputed this completely. I have an editor who I've said more than once costs me money and time every time he has an idea, but those ideas are good, and I follow through on those ideas. I'm 68 years old. I'm booked for the next year and a half ahead. And it's the second volume of Hey Kids and a couple of other things. And I'm interested in doing the kind of work I want to do. I mean, I'll do the occasional job for the mainstream houses, but none of them are throwing work at me in any real way.
All right.
Jamal, how old are you?
47.
Yeah, so you're careening toward the end of your career too.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm serious. I mean, I'm only.
No.
It's not correct, but the fact is, it's a boy's business. It really is.
No, I
And,
absolutely agree with you in that regard. I mean, I'm certainly not fast enough to do a monthly on the schedule that Marvel or DC would want, and I prefer doing my own stuff now.
Right.
Oh, speaking of your own stuff.
One of the reasons I aged out of Marvel and DC is that I'm older than most of the editors' parents. And nobody wants to yell at their dad.
Howard, I have a question.
Ask.
I wanted to know what's the latest status with American Flag? You're talking about is it going to be coming to TV or Netflix?
No,
or?
it's not. And typically, I lost a bet in an earlier life.
Okay.
I mean, Flag was optioned. The reoption was removed to Europa Corp. But Europa Corp had a 1-2 punch against it. One Valerian tanked, and it was dreadful. It was really awful. And two, Luc Besson, the head of Europa Corp, got harassed, got accused of sexual harassment allegations. So they dropped the option. We'll see, but I have no hope. I am convinced that I will go to my grave, and my obit will be in the New York Times, probably Wednesday, upper left-hand corner, I'm figuring. And my obit will read, Howard Chaykin, cartoonist, dies, fucked up Star Wars, and who gives a shit about the rest?
Oh my God!
So there you go.
If they could possibly cast it, who would you cast? Is there an actor that you like that you would cast as the character, as Ruben Flag?
Yes, there is. Yes. Oh, you want to know who that is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Who would you cast?
Oh, you're asking me? Yes, it's Andy Carl.
Andy.
You have no idea who Andy Carl is, do you?
Yeah. What's his main thing he's known for?
He played Rocky in the musical.
Oh.
He played the Bill Murray part in the musical version of Groundhog Day.
Oh, so he's.
And he's on Broadway right now playing the lead in Pretty Woman.
I know who he is.
So he's a man of the stage and screen. Oh, which is just as well because Ruben was an actor before he joined the Rangers.
Yes.
So good. So you need a guy who can sing and dance.
Carl has an easiness about him. He's good looking in an oddly characteristic way. He's not pretty, but he's good looking. And I think he's got the right right stance, if you will. You know, yeah. I mean, had it been done in its time in the '80s,
Yeah.
people kept asking me back then, and I said the two guys I'd like to see play flag were Bob Saget or Bruce Willis.
Wow. All right. That's
And
good.
I thought Bob Saget could have done great things with this. I really do.
Wow. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I know how nutty that is, but there was a time where Saget could have played a character who was self-aware enough to recognize that even though he was the hero of the story, there was not a heroic bone in his body.
Oh.
And that's what the character calls for, I believe.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up for Howard Chaykin.
Are we done? I have completed my mission?
Well, you
Wow.
were serious.
So before I let you go, is it hot and sticky in New York right now, or is it a lovely June?
No, it's
Right.
lovely. It was pretty good today.
Fabulous.
Yesterday sucked, but today's been good.
Thank you so much.
It's weather. All right, ladies, gentlemen, it has been an absolute treat. Have a great day. Enjoy your lives, and we'll see you on campus.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Right on.
Bye.
Right on. Oh, wow.
I like this guy.
Amazing. Amazing.
Howard's a trip.
Follow him online.
Yeah.
Yes,
Take
definitely.
the time to follow him on
Yeah.
online services. He's fantastic.
Now, I have some more questions. I'm gonna throw out here. Does anybody else have any theories on the future of the comics industry? Because I know ideas were flying around fast and furious
It
earlier.
matters what comics industry you're talking
Right.
about.
All right.
That's
what
a
do you
big
think?
problem when we get to this. Are
Yes.
we talking about what Howard's saying? Are we talking about Marvel and DC comic books?
Uh-huh.
Because they're a behemoth that will continue to go as long as the licenses make money for them.
Absolutely.
And they can sell those IPs.
As long as they can strip mine the
If they can-
characters and turn them into film and television and
They'll go on
put them
forever.
on lunch boxes or whatever.
But-
I don't have the same pessimistic view that Howard has about the industry in general because, especially with original graphic novels and trade paperbacks,
Right.
you're seeing a rise in the sales for young adult material and kids comics. So, you know, and I know when it comes to comics, a lot of people like to think that it's just Marvel and DC when there are companies thriving around the world. Yeah, and it's just, the market is adjusting itself. How comics are being delivered are adjusting themselves.
So what do you think? All right. So I'm going to put it over to Nick. So Nick, what's the next level?
Well, there's a little. It's exactly what he's saying with the young adult things. I mean, Scholastic Publishing are recapturing the youth the way Marvel and DC wish they could recapture the youth. You know, back in the day, kids would come into the store and you go, "Oh, kid, try Bone. Try
Right.
these kids
yes.
come in well-read, 4 or 5 graphic novels in. This is not new, but it's not just that. You know, Sarah Scribbles, Hark a Vagrant. These are things that started on the internet,
Right.
where you know Kate Beaton gets a following of 1 million, 2 million people.
Oh, yeah.
That now the book publishers are coming to them.
Right.
It's not the old way where guys would come with their portfolio. Joan Cornelio, who does Zonzo, is someone who got immensely popular on the internet by sharing his artwork, and now he's got successful books.
Right.
And now the book publishers are coming for him. But the difference between, and I understand where Howard's coming from, the comic industry that I guess we grew up in, where it was these superhero comics and these things led the path, they're not leading the path anymore, and the monthly comic will one day go away, but comic books will not. It's
Right.
very important to understand that if they stop selling the pamphlet comic you have there'll be these books with drawings and word balloons that are comic books, and they're going to strive no matter what.
Well, it's like anything else in the world. You either evolve or you go extinct.
Right,
The
absolutely.
evolution is happening where a lot of people who are not known, or maybe known just a little bit, are doing their own thing. They're making their web comics, and then it becomes popular, and then they go to print from there.
Right.
But the stuff that is evolving is the stuff that is coming from other sources, and it's coming from the heart. It's coming from, I have this in me, I need to get it out.
Right.
Right.
And people are feeling that sense of this is something new, this is something creative, this is something
Fresh.
fresh.
And they're getting that sense of community also, because I think who's the one that throwing it out?
Nick,
The concept of a bar without drinks.
Well,
where
again,
people
the
come out,
comic store,
community.
people come to the comic store to buy comics, but they come to talk about comics. They know that everybody in that room is one of them. It's why the convention has jumped on such a big level. It's why everybody's doing fan expos and conventions, because wait, I want to enjoy this with my friends, or I want to talk more about this. I'm so interested in this that I want to talk about the minutia of this, or I want to talk about the creators of this, and that becomes the wonderful part of fandom, not the toxic part, the part where we get to go meet these creators, to meet my heroes, and meet these guys, and get ideas.
So I would say that the future then, it is about community and the technology
The technology
that is
will help
creating
that.
already the tools are there so that people can protect their own IP, self-published, self-distribute.
And we're talking about the cross-pollination of marketing platforms too.
Right.
So that's something that you're talking about right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe artists should, this is my personal opinion.
Okay.
What we're doing is creating a platform where an artist comes in and don't have to market, sell, or even negotiate that kind of thing. I think artists should just do art and hone their skills. And that's very difficult as it is, right?
Of course.
So to me, I hate when you schools are like artists should be more entrepreneurial and you should do all this social media. I think the technology is going to be there for people to just have control of their own work and figure out their niche markets. They're people who love what they do.
Very much to that point. You don't have to give your IP away anymore.
Exactly, that's the
You used to
important
create,
thing.
Marvel and DC used to create something, guys would grow up and they would create it and they'd give it to Marvel and DC and see nothing out of that.
Right.
Where the examples of stuff like Walking Dead, people saw, hey, this Robert Kirkman guy told a zombie story and he turned it into an empire, and most important, he still gets to make his book.
Exactly.
But that's how.
And then you license to DC. Then they come to you and they pay you for
But
your
that's
licensing.
how traditionally Marvel and DC is sort of controlled the market, is because they had the IPs that you grew up on, that you wanted to work on. So they could throw a pittance at you and say, hey, but you're working on Superman, so
Spidey.
But hold on, but let's bring this out. Zia wanted to bring up one point, and then we're going to go into the next segment. Sorry, going for it. So anything that you want to throw in there?
Oh, I was just going to say, from what I understand, what you were telling me in the other room was that what you're doing also protects the rights of the artist. That if I were to put something up and go through you, then that's my drawing.
I just wanna make clear this is not through us. We're just one platform. DaDA is one platform doing this. There is a whole
Network
or
of
networks,
yeah,
and also you can do it yourself. You don't need a platform as well. The tools are there. They're all open source. Everything is done so that if you have art, it's all for artists to really regain control, including, and this is important for people to know, secondary sales, the royalties from secondary sales in anything, including digital art. No matter how many times it's resold, it will come back to you.
Right.
So
And it's
everybody gets money.
guaranteed. It's
Right,
guaranteed.
and it seems to protect your creative rights.
Your
like,
IP.
Like you say, I post something, somebody else goes, oh, I'm going to trace that and say it's mine. And
No, but
it's-
that's
it's
great,
there.
because you're talking about possibly a potential deterrent to digital piracy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because you can look at it as titles. You buy a car and they give you a title that says that it's your
VIN
car,
number
right?
and-
That doesn't. I mean, from Venezuela, so that doesn't mean that your car can be stolen, right? But what it means
Right,
is
but
that you
you
can
say
prove
you've got that little
that's your-
piece that says that, yes,
that
this is
your
my car.
Yes, yes.
And nobody.
That's important. That's
and you
important.
could sue the living daylights out of somebody messing with your stuff. All right, so here it is. I'll throw this out there. We never got a chance to get to the creator of the week, and we had two different people that we were going to talk about. One is Jim McLaughlin from Heroes Initiative, who's a great writer for a little platform called ICV2, and it's this great website for various geekery. Just throwing it out there like that. So if anybody wants to say something about that, ICV2 is Milton Greep.
Yes.
Right.
And they do a lot of stuff, not just with comics industry stuff. They do stuff with library industries and a lot of. But they try to cross a lot of the
Some
books.
gaming.
Yeah, they try to cross some of that book scan market over there. It's back to the comic market, so we're getting an idea of what's really selling out in the world,
Right.
not just in the comic shops.
Right, and he's been outspoken speaking politically too. So it's the combination of politics and comics and fandom in general. So
So Jim was writing about what's the name of the guy from Coliseum Comics?
Phil Boyle.
Yes,
Yeah.
Phil Boyle.
With a very successful chain of comic stores called Coliseum of Comics.
Yes,
Right.
and a while back, Phil had it was a Diamond Retailer Summit where he had addressed the group of retailers, and he was basically airing his list of grievances against the comic book industry and what he felt was being done wrong in terms of how he felt like the publishers were dropping the ball in terms of helping retailers sell product. And I personally had some issues with a lot of the things that he proposed, especially there are a number of smaller publishers who are, the one of the things that you have to understand about the comic book industry right now, or at least the quote-unquote mainstream comic book industry right now, is that a lot of the smaller publishers are basically operating at a loss. And one of the things that I took issue with what Phil suggested was having every publisher making comics returnable, which it's something that we used to do in the industry prior to the installation of what we call the direct market, which basically created the idea of comic book
Phil
shops.
Suling was the first man to come out and say, hey, I'm going to buy these from you at a better discount, and I'm not going to return them, because he saw at the time what was the importance of keeping these things, selling these things as back issues, and getting more in the product. He was the birth of the specialty shop, as we know.
Well, speaking of specialty shops, another person that we wanted to bring up, which was Chuck Rozanski from Mile High Comics.
Well, Chuck and Phil are both ends of the spectrum of very, very successful people with comic books here. And one of the things that's very important to understand of the comic store itself is the comic store itself is based on the group of people running it. This is not a McDonald's. We can't just franchise it and go, tomorrow you go ahead, you sell what I sell, because what I sell here is not what Phil sells in Florida, is not what Chuck sells in Denver. We all sell slightly different things. We all sell comic books. We all sell books, and we all sell the same merchandise, but we sell certain things better than other people do. And to Phil's point here on the returnability, Phil is speaking from a place of real knowledge that works for the retailer.
Right.
He knows that these things will make him buy more comic books and move the needle forward. There's the end of what Jamal is saying. Some of these small publishers can't handle that.
Right.
We are at a weird spot in the comics industry that many comic shops are going under. And there's this change that's happening. The sea change is kind of happening. There are ways to make both things work. More returnability from some of the companies to back a product that they believe in really would help. And this is some of the bigger publishers started to do it. Both DC and Marvel. DC's doing it. Marvel is starting to have a little better incentive programs on this. But they're seeing the point is all the impetus is on us, the retailer.
But I have a question here.
Yes.
Well, what about Chuck from Mile High? He's saying that the dough isn't in the comics. He's now saying it's in the collectibles and the other things.
Right.
Well,
but that's the other end of the spectrum.
Well, this goes back to what I said. It matters what your store is selling. The percentage of collectibles I'm selling versus new comics and book selling is much less. If I was just selling the collectibles, a store like mine couldn't survive.
But there are a lot of retailers who basically survive selling mainstream comics. That's what keeps the lights on. They don't do as well with collectibles. They do well because they have regular customers buying those books.
Those legacy comic books that they've been buying. And again, there's an end here where publishing comics and serialized comics has that ability of bringing fresh people into our stores. When indie comic companies like Fantagraphics stopped doing individual comic books, we found ourselves losing more independent sales on guys who would stop in for that one comic and then shop the store. If he knows he's got to come in once a year for a graphic novel, well, maybe he just orders it online.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't come in the store anymore. There's that frequency of the comic book that makes it great.
So this is the community, he said.
Yes, but it's not. This is not going to sustain itself forever. We are at a different point now. It is going to change. See, monthly comics can't survive forever anymore. It's how are we going to move from point A to point B that becomes a big point of it. And buying collectibles, like Chuck is saying, at a low margin and making good money off them is a great way to make money for a store. Every day someone calls and goes, I'm moving, I have these old comics, I have these old toys, I have these old posters, I have all these old models, and it's their turn to let go and then turn for someone else to have it.
Right.
So that keeps the whole cycle going.
Okay. Now, we're going to have to wrap this up, so I just wanted to say, let's start on this end. Things that people are plugging, or things that, I just wanted to thank you guys. So let's see. What are you working on, Zeea? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I finished the Batman Ra's al Ghul issue #1 color on the cover, so that should be out within a month, and I'm very excited about that.
Right.
My next convention is going to be Terrificon. And I'm excited about that.
Cool.
And
Well, thank you.
I'm doing more paintings. More
Nice.
paintings,
Hey,
yes.
commissions, check you
Well,
out
see,
online.
Commissions are great, but I'm actually doing some pieces that are just because I want to do them. And it's like we were talking about before, is the stuff that's like coming from the artist and that you need to...
For the love of the game.
For the love of the art, yes.
Right on,
So
all
I
right.
get to do some of that.
So Nick, what are you up to?
I'm up to being at the comic store 6 to 7 days a week. 481 3rd Avenue between 32nd and 33rd. Also on Staten Island, 299B, New York Lane.
Right
Well,
on.
come to a signing at your
Yeah, that sounds
cool,
great.
Cool. And Jamal.
Okay, so a Volume 1 trade of The Wrong Earth from Ahoy Comics is in stores right now. As of this episode, next week I have a 10-page story with Cullen Bunn coming out in the Aftershock anthology Shock, Volume 2, which will be available as this episode airs, and I'm currently working on the sequel to Black, which is called White.
I can't wait to see
And
that.
that should be out sometime next spring, the trade paperback.
Yeah,
So-
also did great on their Kickstarter for that too.
Yeah,
Get
it's-
that money.
It's been a ride.
All right, and next up.
Oh, so I'm busy creating the technology for people in the comic industry and other industries, artists, to be able to have complete control of their work. And I see it as art. Actually, to me, I'm creating art with this. We're thinking about how to build a whole economy. We're experimenting with artificial intelligence.
So we could look artificial intelligence. So we could look you up online.
Yeah.
Beatriz Ramos. Bea.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
And her platform is DaDA.
DaDA.NYC.
All right. .NYC. All right. Thanks again for watching Creator Code. I just wanted to thank our panel over here. We have Zeea Adams, Nick Purpura, Jamal Eigel, Beatriz Ramos, and Bea. And of course, I'm Phil Dejean, representing. Also, let's give it up for our musical guest, Monk Washington, and of course, Howard Chaykin. All right.
There must be someone out here, said the joker to the thief. There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. Businessman, you drink my wine, come and dig my herbs. The level on the line was of his word.